Well, welcome back to News at Prime. I'm Veronica Mohwadi. We start with this. This year's Women's Report presents a global portrait of significant but uneven progress. While celebrating hard-won gains in leadership representation, the report also highlights economic disparities, gender-based violence, and the burden of unpaid care work for millions of women and girls worldwide. Now, it serves as an urgent call to accelerate efforts to achieve a truly equitable future. Now, let's talk more about this with Professor Anita Bosch, the Research Chair in Women at Work at Stellenbosch Business School. Professor, thank you for your time. Often when we look at these reports, we're also looking for just some positivity. But what would you say is the single most important headline, or at least a data point from this year's report, and why does it stand out?
Thank you, Veronica. Certainly, this year's report is about women on boards specifically, and the fact that globally we don't yet have 45%, and there's no jurisdiction globally that has 45% women representation on boards of listed companies. And we're focusing in on this because there's been good work that's been done and great monitoring by the Businesswomen's Association of South Africa over a number of years on this front. However, it is something that we certainly have to pay attention to. And if we look at more recent statistics in South Africa that didn't take all the JSE listed companies into consideration, but a large portion, it showed that last year it was about 36%, but certainly a long way still to go.
Certainly, and you'd know that in South Africa, it is Women's Month. It's a significant month where we're trying to look at some of the gains, but the realities that are often faced by women. What, of course, are the challenges that came out of this report, specifically comparing it to last year?
So the aspects that are highlighted, and I think that's important for us as South Africans, is to understand that governance is a non-negotiable, good governance. And if we're fishing in a pond of talent where we're only looking at half of South Africa's population, because women make up half of our population, then we're really doing ourselves in, in terms of good governance. So our quest is really to say broaden the pool, make sure that you also include women, because women are socialized to think differently in general. And if we can broaden the net to find better talent, then we're really helping the nation. And we must remember that it's not only listed companies that have boards, but that there's also the unlisted companies that have boards. And very often, this is where we can also find the women that can serve on the listed boards.
And can you walk us through perhaps the methodology of this report? How did you ensure that the data was representative, especially for women in marginalized or at least hard to reach communities?
Yes, so in terms of the data that we've got together, this was gained from various reports globally. Jurisdictions work differently in terms of women on boards. And so in terms of that, looking at what the most recent statistics are for different jurisdictions, I think what's important to note here is whether, whether we're progressing or not. And certainly South Africa has progressed because we have the broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Act, which contains some provisions to incentivize listed companies to have women on boards. And we've seen that there's been a marked difference in terms of Black women serving on boards. However, overall, if we look at unlisted companies, certainly I'm working on data at the moment, which will be made public soon, where we really are not necessarily seeing such a huge jump for women. And so if we think about good governance and the fact that when women serve on boards, often there are marked differences in terms of the risk profile. So there's less risky behavior. We see in mining companies that there are less fatalities that happen. And overall that corporate social responsibility is also high on the agenda. then companies really benefit from having women on their boards.
Yeah, certainly. And we know that the reality as well is that often when there are certain shocks in our society, be it climate change, issues of gender-based violence, it's often women that feel the brunt of this. Has the report identified any of these challenges that are essentially responsible for the setback that we see in the gender gap?
So the report didn't focus on that specifically this year. Every year the report comes out. It's available for free download at womensreport.africa. And every year we focus on a different topic. And this year specifically with women on boards, we're really trying to encourage those people that serve on boards, but also the individuals that need to find these women that are interested, to also look in the NPO sector for women. Often women serve on these boards, do pro bono work and gain a lot of experience by doing so. And we're also encouraging them to look for women that serve on unlisted company boards. But there are many, and the emphasis in the report is to say that it is not for a lack of women's experience or qualifications, but most probably just that the current companies are not fishing in the right pond to find women.
And certainly speaking to that lack of opportunity, that is Professor Anita Bosch, the research chair at Women at Work at Stellenbosch Business School.